March, Saturday. The other day, Dad found Manny's blanket Tingy on the couch. I don't think Dad knew what it was, so he threw it away. Ever since then, Manny's been turning the house upside down looking for his blanket, and finally, Dad had to tell him that he accidentally threw it out. Well, Manny got his revenge yesterday by using Dad's Civil War battlefield as a playset. Manny's been taking his anger out on everyone else too. Today, I was sitting on the couch just minding my own business, and Manny walked up to me and said, "Ploopy." I didn't know if ploopy was some kind of little kid bad word or what, but I didn't like the sound of it. So I went to find Mom and asked her if she knew what it meant. Unfortunately, Mom was on the phone, and when she's gabbing with one of her friends, it takes forever to get her attention. Mom, 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 blah, 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 blah. I finally got Mom to stop talking for a second, but she was mad that I interrupted her. I told her Manny called me Ploopy, and she said, "What is a Ploopy?" That kind of threw me for a second, because it's the exact question I was trying to ask her. I didn't have an answer, so Mom just went back to her conversation. After that, Manny knew he had a green light to call me Ploopy whenever he wanted, and that's what he's been doing all day. Wipe my hiney, Ploopy. I guess I should have known that telling on Manny wasn't gonna get me anywhere. When me and Roderick were little, we used to tell on each other so much that it made Mom crazy. So she brought out this thing called the tattle turtle to solve the problem. Mom came up with the tattle turtle idea when she taught preschool. The idea behind the tattle turtle was that if me and Roderick had a problem with each other, we had to tell the tattle turtle instead of Mom. Well, the tattle turtle worked out great for Roderick, but not so much for me. Tattle turtle, Roderick stole all the money from my piggy bank. Easter. On the car ride to church today, I felt like I was sitting on something sticky. And when I got out and turned around to look at the back of my pants, there was chocolate all over them. Manny had brought his Easter bunny with him in the car, and I must have been sitting on an ear or something. Mom was trying to get the family inside so we could get good seats, but I told her there was no way I was going in there looking like that. I knew Holly Hills and her family were probably already there, and I really didn't need her wondering if I pooped in my pants. Mom said skipping church on Easter wasn't an option, and we argued back and forth. Then Roger chimed in with his solution. He can wear my pants. Roderick knows that church on Easter is always at least 2 hours long, so he was just looking for an excuse to get out of it. But right at that moment, Dad's boss and his family pulled up alongside us in the parking lot. Happy Easter, Heffleys. Mom made Roderick put his pants back on, and then she gave me her sweater to tie around my waist. I don't know which was worse, wearing dress pants with chocolate all over them, or wearing Mom's pink Easter sweater like a kilt. Church was pretty full. The only seats that were empty were right up front where Uncle Joe and his family were sitting, so we sat next to them. I looked around, and I spotted Holly Hills and her family 3 rows back. I was pretty sure she couldn't see what I was wearing from the waist down, so that was a relief. As soon as the music started up, Uncle Joe reached out to hold hands with me and his wife, and he started singing. I tried to break free a couple of times, but Uncle Joe had an iron grip. The song was only like a minute long, but to me, it felt like half an hour. After the song was over, I turned to the people behind us, pointed at Uncle Joe, and made the cuckoo sign so everyone knew I wasn't on board with this holding hands thing. Somewhere in the middle of church, they passed a basket around so people could give money to help the needy. I didn't have any money of my own, so I whispered to Mom to see if she could give me $1. Then, when the basket came to me, I made a big deal of putting the dollar in the basket to make sure Holly could see how generous I was. But when I put the money in the basket, I realized Mom had given me a 20, not a single. I tried to grab the basket to make change, but it was too late. All I can say is, I better get some points in heaven for that donation. I've heard that when you do good deeds, you're supposed to be all private about it. But that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. If I start hiding my good deeds, I'm sure I'll just regret it later on. But what about that squirrel I helped with the broken leg? Sorry, I must have missed that. Like I said before, the Easter service is super long. One of the songs was going on for about 5 minutes, and I started looking for ways to entertain myself. The way that Roger keeps himself busy when he's bored is by picking at his scab on the back of his hand that he never lets heal. But I'm not really interested in going that route. Manny has it made in church. Mom and Dad let him bring all sorts of stuff with us to keep him entertained. Believe me, Mom and Dad never let me bring anything to church when I was his age. Mom and Dad always baby Manny though, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Last week, Manny was at preschool, and when he opened up his lunchbox, his sandwich was cut in half, not in quarters, the way he likes it. Manny threw a huge temper tantrum, and the teachers had to call Mom. So she left work and drove all the way down to Manny's school to make the extra slice. There you go, sweetie. Anyway, I was thinking about this at church, and all of a sudden, I got an idea in my head. I leaned over to Manny and whispered, "Ploopy." Well, Manny completely lost it. He started bawling, and everyone in the church turned their heads our way. Even the minister stopped talking to see what was going on. Mom couldn't calm Manny down, so we had to leave. Instead of walking out the side door, though, we walked right down the center aisle. I tried to look as cool as possible when we walked past the Hills family, but it was pretty tough, considering the circumstances. The only person more embarrassed than me was his dad. Dad tried to cover his face with the church bulletin, but his boss spotted him and gave Dad the thumbs up on the way out. Wednesday. Things have kind of been tense around the house since the mess the other day. First of all, Mom was really mad at me for calling Manny Ploopy. So I had to remind her that she didn't have any problem when Manny said it. So Mom banned the word for everyone. And she said that if anyone was caught saying it, they'd be grounded for a week. But, of course, it didn't take long for Roderick to find a loophole. This isn't the first time Mom has banned us from saying certain words in the house. A while back, Mom made a no swearing rule because Manny was picking up new words left and right. Every time someone said a bad word in front of Manny, they had to put $1 in his swear jar. So Manny was getting rich off me and Roderick. And then, Mom upped the ante by banning words like stupid and jerk and stuff like that. To keep from going bankrupt, me and Roderick came up with a bunch of code words that meant the same thing as the banned words. And we've been using them ever since. Spooky stork. Every once in a while, I forget to switch back when I get to school, and I end up looking dumb. Just today, David Nestor spit out a piece of gum and it landed in my hair. I really let loose with everything I had. But I don't think I upset David too much. Raspberry plastic tickle bear? The other thing that's changed since Easter is that Dad has been on me in Roderick's case. I guess he's tired of us looking bad in front of his boss, Mr. Warren. Dad made Roderick enroll in an SAT class, and he made me sign up for rec league soccer. Soccer tryouts were tonight. The coaches lined up all the kids for a skills test, where you had to dribble the ball between some cones and stuff like that. I tried my best, but I got ranked pre-alpha minus, which I'm sure is just adult code words for you stink. I said go around the cones. After the skills test, they put us on different teams. I was hoping I'd get one of those fun coaches who doesn't take sports too seriously, like Mr. Proctor or Mr. Gibb. But I got the worst one out of the whole bunch, Mr. Litch. Mr. Litch is one of these drill sergeant types who likes to yell a lot. Mr. Litch used to be Roderick's coach, and he's pretty much the reason Roderick doesn't do sports anymore. You need a haircut. Anyway, our first real practice is tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll just get cut so I can get back to playing video games. Twisted Wizard 2 is supposed to come out soon, and I heard it's awesome. Thursday. I got put on a team with a bunch of kids I didn't really know. The first thing Mr. Litch did was hand out uniforms. And then he told us to come up with a team name. I suggested that we call our team the Twisted Wizards and get the Game Hut to sponsor us. Nobody liked my idea though. One kid said we should call the team the Red Sox, which I thought was a terrible idea. Number one, the Red Sox are a baseball team. And number two, our soccer uniforms are blue. But of course, everyone else loved the idea. And that's the name that won out. Then, the assistant coach, Mr. Boone, said he was worried that if we called our team the Red Sox, we might get sued. I'm pretty sure those guys have better things to do than to go around suing middle school soccer teams. But, like I said before, nobody wanted to listen to my options. So the team voted to change the name to Red Sox, and that was final. After that, we started practice. Mr. Litch and Mr. Boone made us run laps and do leg lifts and a bunch of other stuff that had nothing to do with soccer. In between wind sprints, I hung out by the water cooler with the other two pre-alpha minus guys. And every time we were slow getting back to the field, Mr. Litch would yell, "Get your butts over here!" Me and the other guys thought it would be pretty funny if the next time Mr. Litch said that, we all ran at him with our butts sticking out. So the next time Mr. Litch yelled for us to get our butts over there, I ran with my rear end pointed at him. But the other guys totally hung me out to dry. Mr. Litch did not appreciate my sense of humor, and he made me run 3 extra laps. When Dad picked me up at the end of practice, I told him that maybe this soccer thing wasn't such a good idea, and that he should probably just let me quit. That made Dad pretty mad. So he said, "No son of mine is a quitter." Which isn't really true at all. I'm a huge quitter. And so is Roderick. And I think Manny is on his 3rd or 4th preschool by now. Anyway, I got the feeling that if I'm gonna get out of soccer, I'm gonna have to think of another angle. Friday. Ever since I started playing soccer, I've been going through my clothes twice as quick as I did before. I've been totally out of clean stuff to wear for a while now. So I've been pulling all of my clothes out of my dirty laundry piles. But I found out today that recycling clothes from the dirty laundry pile can be risky. I was walking by some girls in the hallway today, and a pair of dirty underwear fell out of one of my pant legs. I just kept walking and hoped that the girls might think the underwear wasn't actually mine. But I paid the price for that decision later on in the day. A pair of boys' underpants with the name Greg H. written on the waistband was found in the hallway. Would the owner please come to the front office to retrieve his article of clothing? I think I'd better hurry up and learn how to do my laundry because I'm really running out of options. Tomorrow, I'm gonna have to wear a t-shirt I got from my Uncle Gary's first wedding. And I'm really not looking forward to it. I was kind of down in the dumps on the walk home from school today. But then, something happened to change that. Rowley told me one of his friends from karate was having a sleepover this weekend, and he asked me if I wanted to come along. I was about to say no way, but then Rowley said something that got my attention. The kid who's having the party lives on Pleasant Street, which is in the same neighborhood that Holly Hills lives in. At lunch today, I overheard a couple of girls saying that Holly is having a sleepover Saturday night. So this could really be the opportunity of a lifetime for me. Tonight at soccer practice, Mr. Litch told everyone the position they'd be playing in the first game on Sunday. Mr. Litch told me I'd be the shag, and that sounded pretty cool to me. So when I got home, I bragged to Roderick about it. I'm the shag. I thought Roderick would be impressed, but he just laughed. He told me that shag wasn't actually a real position on the field. It's just a kid who chases the ball when it goes out of bounds. Then he showed me a rule book with all the soccer positions, and sure enough, shag wasn't in it. Roderick is always pulling my leg, so I guess I'll just have to wait until this weekend to see if he's telling the truth this time. Sunday. Remind me to never go to a sleepover with Rowley again. Yesterday afternoon, Mom dropped me and Rowley off at his friend's house. The first hint that I was in for a long night was when we walked into the house and there wasn't a kid there who was older than 6. My second hint was that everyone was wearing their karate gear. The whole reason I even went to this sleepover was so we could all sneak out and crash Holly's slumber party. But Rowley's friends were more interested in Sesame Street than they were in girls. All those guys wanted to do was play a bunch of dopey party games, like Blind Man's Bluff and that kind of thing. I could have been playing Spin the Bottle with Holly Hills, but instead, I spent my night trying not to get groped by a bunch of first graders. Rowley's friends played some other games too, like freeze tag and Twister. I excused myself to go upstairs when someone suggested we could play who licked me. I tried calling Mom to come pick me up, but she was out with Dad. So I knew I was stuck at this kid's house for the night. At about 9:30, I decided to just go to sleep and get the night over with. But those guys came into the bedroom and got into a massive pillow fight. And let me tell you, it's not easy falling asleep when a sweaty little kid falls on you every 5 seconds. Eventually, the kid's mom came upstairs and told everyone it was time to go to sleep. Even after the lights went out, Rowley and his friends stayed up, talking and giggling. They must have thought I fell asleep, because at one point, a bunch of them snuck up on me to try and pull the hand in a bowl of warm water trick. Well, that was enough for me. I went downstairs to sleep in the basement, even though it was pitch black down there and I couldn't find the light. I'd left my sleeping bag upstairs, and that was a mistake, because it was freezing in the basement. I did not want to go back upstairs and get my stuff though. I just curled up in a ball and tried to conserve as much body heat as possible to make it through to the morning. I think it was probably the longest night of my life. When the sun came up this morning, I found out the reason it was so cold in the basement. I was sleeping right by the sliding glass door, and some fool had gone and left it open overnight. That really stunk, because if I knew there was a way to escape last night, I definitely would have taken it. When I got home this morning, I went back to bed until Dad woke me up and told me it was time to go to the soccer game. It turns out Roderick was right about the shag thing. I spent the whole game pulling balls out of the brambles, and let me tell you, it wasn't a whole lot of fun. Hurry up! Ouch. Our team won the game, and afterward, we were supposed to go out to celebrate. Dad couldn't stick around, so he asked Mr. Litch if he could drive me home afterward. Well, I really wish Dad had asked me what I thought about that idea first, because I would have just gone home with him. I was starving from all that digging around in the bushes though, so I figured I'd just go with the team. We went to a fast food place, and I ordered 20 chicken nuggets. I went to use the bathroom, and when I came back to the table, all my food was gone. But then Eric Bigford dumped my nuggets out of his big, sweaty hands. Ha ha ha. If you ever wanted to know why I don't like team sports, there it is in a nutshell. After lunch was over, me, Kenny Keith, and Eric got into Mr. Litch's car. Kenny sat in the back with Eric, and I sat up front in the passenger seat. We had to wait a long time because Mr. Litch was sitting on the hood of his car, blabbing away with Mr. Boone. After we'd been sitting there for a while, Kenny leaned forward from the back seat and laid on the horn for about 3 seconds. Then, Kenny jumped back in his seat, so when Mr. Litch turned around, it looked like I was the one who honked the horn. Mr. Litch gave me a dirty look, and then turned back around and talked to his assistant for another half hour. On the way home, Mr. Litch stopped to do about 5 errands. He wasn't in any hurry to get them done either. And get this, Kenny and Eric were mad at me for making them get home so late. So that should give you a feeling for the type of intelligence I'm dealing with here. Mr. Litch dropped me off last. On the way up the hill, I saw the Snellas out in the front yard, and it looked like they were trying to get some clips to send into America's Funniest Families. I guess they don't feel like waiting around a few months until Seth's half birthday party. I wasn't taping yet. April, Thursday. Today was April 1st, and here's how my day started. April Fools! Every other day of the year, you couldn't drag Roderick out of bed before 8 o'clock a.m. But on April 1st, Roderick always wakes up early so he can get his licks in. Someone seriously needs to explain the concept of a practical joke to Roderick, because all his jokes involve me getting injured. Last year, Roderick bet me 50 cents I couldn't tie my shoes while I was standing up, and I totally fell for it. You're about to owe me 50 cents. I went inside and told Dad that Roderick shot me in the butt with a paintball gun. Dad didn't feel like getting in the middle of a fight, so he just told Roderick to pay me 50 cents for winning the bet. Roderick took 2 quarters out of his pocket and threw them on the ground. But obviously I didn't learn my lesson because I bent over to pick them up. Yow! At least I put something into my practical jokes. Last year, I pulled a pretty good trick on Rowley. We were in the bathroom at a movie theater, and I convinced them that some random guy standing at the urinal was a professional athlete. So Rowley asked the guy for his autograph. And today, me and a couple of other guys pulled a good one on Chirag Gupta. We decided it would be pretty funny if we made him think he was losing his hearing. So we all made sure we talked real quiet every time he came around. Did you catch the big soccer match last night? Yes. Quite a game. Quite a game. Chirag figured out what was going on pretty quick, and he went straight to the teacher to shut it down before the joke could get out of hand. I guess he didn't want a repeat of the invisible Chirag joke from last year. Friday. We had our second soccer game tonight. Some adult volunteered to shag the balls, so I got to sit on the bench for the whole game. It was really cold out, and I asked Dad if I could get my coat out of the car, but he said no. Dad said I needed to be prepared in case the coach decided to put me in the game, so I had to just tough it out. I wanted to tell Dad that the only time I'd be stepping foot on the field would be when Mr. Litch made me pick up all the other kids' orange peels at halftime. But I just kept quiet and concentrated on not letting my shin guards freeze to my legs. Every time Mr. Litch called a huddle, Dad made me get off the bench and go join the rest of the team. Have you seen a game on TV and wondered what the bench warmers were thinking when they stand in the huddle while the coach goes over the game plan? Well, now I can tell you firsthand. You guys smell. Once the sun went down, it got really cold. In fact, it got so cold, Mackie Creevy and Manuel Gonzalez went and got sleeping bags out of Creevy's car. And Dad still wouldn't even let me go get my coat. During a timeout, we all joined the huddle. And when the coach got an eyeful of Mackie and Manuel, he told them they were excused to go to the Crevy's car for the rest of the game. So Mackie and Manuel got to sit in a heated SUV while I had to sit on a cold metal bench in my shorts. And I know for a fact that the Crevys have a TV in their car, so I'm sure those guys were totally living it up in there. Monday. I have definitely got to start keeping on top of my laundry. I've been out of clean underwear for about 3 days, so I've been wearing my bathing suit as a substitute. Today, we had phys ed, and when we changed into our gym clothes, I totally forgot I was wearing my Speedo underneath. It could have been a lot worse, though. I have a pair of Wonder Woman underoos that I've never taken out of the wrapper, and this morning, I was pretty tempted to wear them, just because they were clean. Believe me, I didn't ask for the Wonder Woman underoos either. This past summer, a few of my relatives asked Mom what I wanted for my birthday, and she told him I was really into comics and superheroes. So the underoos were a gift from Uncle Charlie. We had another soccer game after school, but it's been getting a lot warmer lately, and I wasn't worried about the cold. At school, me, Mackie, and Manuel agreed we'd all bring some video games tonight, and for the first time, we actually enjoyed ourselves at soccer. It didn't last long though. 20 minutes into the game, Mr. Litch called all three of us off the bench and told us to get on the field. Krevy, Heffley, Gonzalez. Apparently, some parent complained that their kid wasn't getting any playing time. So the rec league made a rule that now every kid has to get in the game. Well, none of us had been paying any attention to the game. So when we got on the field, we didn't know what to do or where to stand. A couple of kids in our team told us the other team had a free kick and that we were supposed to stand shoulder to shoulder to make a shield to block it. I thought the guys on my team were joking, but it turns out they weren't. Me, Manuel, and Mackie had to line up in front of our goal. Then the referee blew the whistle and a kid from the other team ran at the ball and kicked it right at us. Well, we didn't do a really good job of protecting the goal, and the other team scored. Mr. Litch pulled the three of us out of the game the second he got the chance, and he yelled at us for not standing still and blocking the ball. But I'll tell you what, if I have to choose between getting yelled at or getting hit in the face with a soccer ball, it's no contest. Thursday. After the game last week, I asked Mr. Litch if I could be the backup goalie for the team, and he said I could. It was a genius move on my part, for a couple of reasons. First of all, goalies don't have to run laps and all that stuff during practice. They just do individual goalie drills with the assistant coach. Second, goalies wear different uniforms than the rest of the team, and that means Mr. Litch can't put me in the game when it's time to block free kicks. Krevy, Gonzalez. Our regular goalie, Tucker Fox, is the star of the team, so I knew there was no way I was going to see any playing time anyway. These last few games have actually been kind of fun, but tonight, something bad happened. Tucker hurt his hand diving after a ball, and he had to come out, so that meant the coach had to put me in. Well, Dad was really excited I was finally getting some real playing time, and he came down to my end of the field to coach me from the sideline. It's not like I really needed it though. Our team kept the ball on the other side of the field for the whole rest of the game, and I didn't even touch it once. Make sure you bend your knees, Greg. I think I know what Dad was up to though. When I used to play t-ball, I had a really hard time concentrating on the game. Tonight, Dad just wanted to make sure I didn't get distracted the way I used to get when I played right field. Quit playing in the tulips! I have to admit, it was probably a good thing that Dad stayed on my case tonight. There were about 1 million dandelions down at my end of the field, and in the second half, I was starting to get a little twitchy.